The morning sun rose slowly over the pale violet skies of Exoprime, casting a soft glow on the Academy's distant training grounds. Lieutenant Arya Kane tightened the straps of her gear, her eyes scanning the horizon. Today was a routine training mission, or so everyone said. But Arya knew that routine exercises at Nova Frontier Academy were rarely predictable. The Academy prided itself on pushing cadets to their limits, testing not just their strength but their courage, intelligence, and instincts. She glanced at her team. Cadet Milo, ever the cautious one, fidgeted with his equipment, muttering under his breath about the so-called friendly creatures of the planet. Beside him, Cadet Lyra flexed her fingers, a faint grin on her face, clearly eager for the unknown challenges that awaited them. Arya felt a surge of protectiveness for the group. They were young, inexperienced, in real danger, and it was her responsibility to keep them safe no matter what. The shuttle touched down on the edge of the forest, its metallic hull glinting under the morning light. The door hissed open, and the cadets stepped out onto the soft, moss-like ground. The air was thick with an unfamiliar scent, sharp and earthy, tinged with something sweet yet unsettling. The trees were tall, their translucent leaves glowing faintly, pulsating with an almost hypnotic rhythm. It was beautiful, alien, and dangerous. "Stay close," Arya instructed, her voice calm but firm. "Remember your drills, watch your surroundings, and no unnecessary risks." Milo swallowed hard and nodded, while Lyra gave a quick, confident salute. Arya led them into the forest, each step deliberate, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She had trained for countless scenarios at the Academy, but she knew that the reality of Exoprime's wilderness was far less predictable than simulations. Every sound, every movement could be a threat. They had been walking for nearly an hour when the first sign appeared. A distant roar echoed through the trees, vibrating through the ground beneath their feet. The cadets froze, their eyes wide, scanning the surroundings. Arya signaled for silence, her hand raised, and listened. The roar came again, closer this time, and it carried a menacing tone, unlike any animal they had studied. "That doesn't sound like any known predator," Milo whispered, glancing nervously at Arya. Arya nodded. "Stay alert. Keep moving, but carefully." As they pressed forward, the forest grew denser, the light dimming under the thick canopy. Shadows shifted unnaturally, and the faint rustling of leaves hinted at movements just out of sight. Then, without warning, the ground beneath Milo's feet gave way slightly, and he stumbled. Before Arya could react, a massive shape lunged from the shadows. The creature was unlike anything Arya had seen before. Its muscular frame glimmered under the forest light, covered in thick, scaled skin that seemed to shift colors like liquid. Long, sharp claws glinted at the tips of its limbs, and its eyes burned with an intelligent, predatory awareness. It was enormous, easily twice the size of any human, and it moved with a speed that made her heart race. Milo froze, terror rooting him to the spot. The creature roared again, a sound that shook the very trees, and advanced toward him. Arya's instincts kicked in. Without a second thought, she lunged forward, positioning herself between Milo and the beast. "Move, Milo, now!" she shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him back. The cadet stumbled, eyes wide with fear, but obeyed. Arya's mind raced, analyzing every possible option. There were no weapons within reach, and retreat was impossible. The dense forest left no clear path. The only choice was to confront the creature directly. It charged. Arya sidestepped at the last moment, feeling the air rush past her as its claws sliced the space she had just occupied. She grabbed a thick branch lying nearby, swinging it toward the creature, but it barely flinched. Its focus was solely on her. Realizing that brute force would not work, Arya relied on her agility and knowledge of animal behavior. She baited the creature, dodging and weaving through the glowing trees, keeping her body low and her movements unpredictable. Every step, every feint was calculated, forcing the creature to overextend and expose weaknesses. Milo watched from a safe distance, awe and fear mingling in his expression. He had never seen Arya like this, calm, precise, and utterly fearless in the face of impossible odds. The creature lunged again, faster this time, claws slicing through the air. Arya ducked under its swing, rolling across the mossy ground and grabbing a thick vine. With all her strength, she wrapped it around one of the creature's limbs, pulling it off balance. The beast roared in frustration, momentarily slowed, and Arya seized the opportunity. She climbed onto a low-hanging branch, jumping from tree to tree, using the forest itself as her weapon. Each maneuver was risky. Each movement tested her endurance and skill. But she refused to back down. Milo's life, and possibly her own, depended on it. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Arya noticed a natural pit in the forest floor, partially covered by foliage. She lured the creature toward it, baiting it with herself as the target. The beast, focused entirely on her, did not see the trap until it was too late. With a thunderous crash, it fell into the pit, thrashing violently. Arya exhaled sharply, her body trembling from exertion, sweat, and adrenaline. She scrambled down to Milo, who was staring at her with wide, awestruck eyes. You did it," he stammered. Arya nodded, breathing heavily. "It's not over yet. We need to make sure it can't get out." Together, they secured the pit with fallen branches and vines, creating a makeshift barrier. The creature's roars echoed from below, but it was contained. For now, Arya's hands were scraped and bruised, her body sore, but she had no time to dwell on pain. "Come on," she said, helping Milo to his feet. "We need to report this." As they made their way back to the landing site, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The creature had been more intelligent than any animal she had studied, and its strength suggested something unnatural. The Academy had trained them for survival, but this encounter hinted at secrets deeper than any cadet had been told. By the time they reached the shuttle, the sun had climbed higher, casting the forest in sharp, golden light. The rest of the team had already returned. Concern etched on their faces. Cadet Lyra ran to them, eyes wide. "Arya, Milo, are you okay?" she asked. Arya nodded. Though she knew the marks on her arms and the fatigue in her body told a different story. "We're fine. But there's something on this planet, something more than just wildlife. We need to report it immediately." The shuttle lifted off, the engines roaring as they ascended from the forest. Arya watched the dense trees shrink below, her mind racing. What they had faced today was no ordinary predator, and its presence raised questions she was determined to answer. When the shuttle landed back at the Academy, medics immediately took Milo and Arya for checkups. Arya's wounds were minor, but her hands and arms were scraped and bruised. She barely had time to breathe before she was approached by an Academy officer, a tall woman with a stern expression and sharp, calculating eyes. "Lieutenant Kane," the officer said, her voice low but commanding. "Your actions today were remarkable. We'll need a full report on the incident. And you, personally, will undergo an evaluation for further assignments." Arya nodded, sensing that this encounter had changed more than just her physical state. It had altered the Academy's perception of her. For the first time, she felt both pride and unease. Pride that she had saved a friend, but unease at the attention she had drawn. That night, in her dormitory, Arya lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The events of the day replayed in her mind: the roar of the beast, the flash of its claws, the adrenaline pumping through her veins. She had faced death and survived, but the weight of what she had done, the realization that she had acted alone and unarmed, left her restless. And then, as sleep began to claim her, she felt a strange presence. Outside her door, footsteps echoed softly, deliberate and watchful. Guards she had never seen before patrolled the hallway, their eyes fixed on her room. She sat up, heart pounding. The Academy had always emphasized vigilance, but this was different. It was not routine. It was not training. Something had changed, and Arya couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. As she drifted into an uneasy sleep, she knew one thing for certain. The creature in the forest had been only the first test. The true test, one of courage, cunning, and survival, was waiting for her at the academy itself, and Arya Kane, who had faced a monster bare-handed to save a cadet, was ready to face whatever came next. Arya Kane awoke slowly, the pale light of dawn filtering through the blinds of her dorm room. Her muscles ached, her hands were stiff from scrapes and bruises, and a lingering sense of exhaustion weighed her down. She sat up, rubbing her temples, trying to shake the fog of sleep. It was then that she noticed something unusual, the soft murmur of voices outside her door, coupled with the steady rhythm of footsteps. She froze, heart pounding. The cadence was deliberate, disciplined, and not the usual shuffle of cadets or staff. Rising cautiously, Arya crept to the door and peered through the small slit in the frame. Her eyes widened. 2 academy guards, fully uniformed and armed, were stationed outside her room. Another stood farther down the corridor, keeping watch. Their presence was silent but authoritative, a quiet warning that something significant had changed. Arya swallowed hard, trying to process the sudden tension. She had faced creatures twice her size on Exoprime, and survived. But this was different. Here, in the familiar halls of the academy, she felt a new kind of vulnerability. She had acted heroically in the forest. Yet now it seemed that her heroism had drawn scrutiny, rather than simple commendation. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as she observed the guards. None spoke to her, yet their attention never wavered. The usual hum of the dormitory felt distant, replaced by a charged silence. Arya's instincts told her that they were not merely protecting her. They were watching her, and perhaps controlling her movements. Her mind raced, attempting to reconstruct the events that had brought her here. The creature she had faced was not ordinary. Its strength, intelligence, and agility exceeded the natural bounds of known wildlife on Exoprime, and she had fought it without weapons, relying solely on her quick thinking and raw courage. The academy had trained them for survival, but what she had accomplished had crossed into something exceptional, something that could not be ignored. The door finally opened. A tall, stern-looking officer stepped in, her boots clicking against the polished floor. Arya stood quickly, alert and ready, though she knew she posed no threat to the officer. "Lieutenant Kane," the officer said, her voice calm but firm, "you are to remain in your quarters until further notice. You will have full medical evaluation, followed by a briefing. Do not attempt to leave or interact with other cadets without authorization." Arya nodded slowly, her mind spinning. "I understand, ma'am," she said. Though questions burned behind her eyes, she wanted to ask why, but she knew that pressing for answers now would achieve nothing. Instead, she focused on what she could control herself, her training, and her thoughts. Once the officer left, Arya sat on the edge of her bed, reviewing the mission in her mind. She thought about Milo, who had survived because of her actions. She thought about the creature, trapped now in its pit, and the implications of what she had just encountered. It was more than just a dangerous animal. It was evidence of something larger, something the academy had been keeping secret. As the hours passed, Arya's mind refused to rest. The guards remained stationed outside her door, and their presence became a constant reminder that she was under scrutiny. She began observing their behavior, noting the patterns in their patrols, the subtle signals they exchanged. It was clear they were not merely performing routine duties. There was a hierarchy, a silent communication that spoke of orders from higher authorities. By mid-morning, a medical team arrived. They were professional, efficient, and brief in their assessment. Arya's injuries were minor scrapes, bruises, and fatigue, but her body had undergone extreme stress. They documented everything meticulously, noting not only the physical condition but her mental alertness and responsiveness. As the medics finished, the officer returned. This time, she brought with her a tablet, displaying official reports and images from the Exoprime mission. Arya scanned the screen, her eyes widening at the data presented. The creature she had faced was not catalogued in the Academy's standard files. It belonged to a classification thought extinct, a genetically engineered predator designed for extreme environments. "You engaged a highly dangerous specimen," the officer said, her eyes steady on Arya. Your actions demonstrate not only physical capability but exceptional strategic thinking. The Directorate has taken note. Your performance is under review for special assignment consideration. Arya's heart raced. Special assignment. She had heard rumors among cadets about this missions that were classified, dangerous, and often outside the standard curriculum. Few cadets were chosen, and those who were rarely returned unchanged. The weight of the words pressed down on her. This was recognition, but it was also a form of responsibility, a test of her limits. What kind of assignment? Arya asked carefully, masking the anxiety in her voice. That information will be provided only if you are selected, the officer replied. For now, you remain under observation. Your skills and judgment will be assessed further before any decisions are made. The officer left again, and Arya was left alone with the guards silently stationed outside. She felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. Her actions had elevated her status, but they had also drawn attention she could not ignore. She was no longer a cadet among many, she was a subject of scrutiny, a symbol of human potential in extreme circumstances. Over the next few days, Arya settled into a cautious routine. She trained privately, focusing on improving agility, reflexes, and hand-to-hand combat techniques. She studied the creature's behavior, reviewing footage and reports to understand how she had managed to survive. Every detail mattered. Every observation could be crucial for what lay ahead. At night, she observed the guards, analyzing their movements and patterns. They did not speak, yet their watchful presence reminded her that she was never truly alone. It was a delicate balance she had to maintain composure, act within the rules, but also remain aware of every detail. It became clear that the Academy valued not just her physical capability, but her perception, intelligence, and ability to adapt under pressure. Arya also began discreetly speaking with Milo, who had recovered from his minor injuries. He was excited and frightened in equal measure. "Arya, you really did something incredible," he said one evening. "I don't think anyone expected you to survive, let alone defeat that thing." Arya smiled faintly, though a shadow of worry crossed her face. "It wasn't just me," she replied. "We trained for this, and I made the right decisions. But there's more going on here than just wildlife. That creature, what we faced, it wasn't natural. Someone engineered it, and someone knew it could escape. The Academy is hiding something." Milo nodded, the concern in his eyes reflecting her own thoughts. "Do you think they want to use people like us? To fight? Or control these creatures?" Arya considered the question carefully. She had always believed in humanity's ingenuity and resilience, but the possibility of being manipulated, used as a tool, lingered in the back of her mind. "Perhaps," she said finally, "but if they do, we have to be ready. We have to ensure that courage, intelligence, and ethics guide our actions, not blind obedience." Days passed, blending into a strict routine of observation, medical checks, and private training. Arya became acutely aware of her own mental and physical limits. The guards remained, silent and alert, yet never interfering beyond their presence. It was a constant reminder that her every move was being watched, that her future depended on how she navigated this scrutiny. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast long shadows across the dormitory hallways, Arya felt a strange restlessness. She walked to the window, gazing out at the training grounds below. The forest where the creature had attacked loomed in the distance, glowing faintly under the last light of day. She could almost feel the pulse of the forest, as if it remembered her presence, as if the creature's challenge was not yet complete. Her reflection in the window caught her attention, bruised, tired, but resolute. She had faced a monster bare-handed and survived. She had protected Milo, and perhaps unknowingly, she had proven a truth the Academy could not ignore. Humans, with determination and courage, could overcome even engineered perfection. The realization gave her a new strength. Whatever the Academy wanted from her, whatever secret missions or assignments awaited, she would meet them on her own terms. She would not be a passive participant in someone else's plans. She would ensure that humanity's ingenuity, courage, and ethical choices remained at the forefront. As night fell and the dormitory lights dimmed, Arya prepared for another day under observation. She knew the guards outside her door were more than protectors, they were sentinels, keeping watch over someone who had become extraordinary. Someone who had proven that humans could face the unimaginable and survive. And while the future remained uncertain, one thing was clear. Arya Kane would not just be a cadet who survived. She would be a force, a symbol of human potential, and a challenge to anyone who underestimated the power of courage, intelligence, and determination. For now, she rested, but her mind never stopped. The academy had changed, the directorate had noticed, and the galaxy held dangers beyond imagination. But Arya Kane was ready. She had faced the beast, and she had won. And whatever awaited her next, she would meet it head-on, with unwavering resolve. Arya Kane had spent days under quiet observation, training and analyzing. But now, the waiting had ended. An encrypted message arrived on her personal tablet, discreetly delivered to her room by a messenger droid. It contained instructions for a covert meeting in one of the Academy's lesser-known sectors, a place few cadets ever visited. Arya studied the message carefully, noting its precision and the absence of unnecessary details. Whoever had sent it was not testing her, they were summoning her. She prepared herself quickly, checking her equipment and supplies. Her body was still sore from her encounter with the creature on Exo Prime, but her mind was sharp, honed by days of observation, training, and anticipation. The guards outside her door gave her the usual watchful gaze as she left her room, but she had learned to read their movements. Their silence was a challenge, a reminder that while they protected her, she was also expected to demonstrate her ability to act independently under pressure. The corridor to the meeting point was dimly lit, lined with walls of polished metal that reflected the soft hum of the Academy's power core. Arya's footsteps were careful, measured, and quiet. She had learned long ago that awareness and control were as critical as courage in any dangerous situation. Around each corner, she paused, listening for signals, noting the faint vibrations in the floor that indicated distant movement. She was alone, yet fully aware that every action would be observed, recorded, and analyzed. Finally, she reached the meeting chamber. The doors slid open smoothly, revealing a high-tech control room filled with monitors displaying data from countless planetary missions. In the center stood a figure, an officer in formal academy attire, her expression unreadable. This was Commander Celine Voss, a high-ranking official within the Interstellar Directorate, known for her strategic mind and unyielding standards. "Lieutenant Kane," Celine said, her voice calm but commanding. "Thank you for coming. Please, sit." Arya complied, maintaining a composed demeanor despite the rapid beating of her heart. She had heard of Commander Voss through Academy channels, respected, feared, and known for recruiting exceptional individuals for classified assignments. This meeting was more than recognition. It was an opportunity and a challenge, one that could shape her future in ways she could not yet predict. "You have faced extraordinary circumstances," Celine began, gesturing toward the monitors. Images of the creature Arya had fought flashed on the screens, along with annotated data highlighting its unique biology, strength, and agility. "The specimen you encountered on Exo Prime was part of a controlled experiment, designed to test adaptability, strategic thinking, and human resilience. Your actions in the field exceeded all expectations. You demonstrated creativity, courage, and control under extreme pressure. That is why you are here." Arya absorbed the information, her mind racing. She had suspected the creature was not ordinary, but seeing the classified reports confirmed it. Someone had engineered the predator to challenge human limits, and her survival had proven that humans were capable of far more than technology alone could predict. "Why show me this?" Arya asked, keeping her tone even. "Why now? Why now?" Celine studied her for a long moment. "Because you have potential. Potential that can shape the future of humanity and the galaxy. The Directorate seeks individuals who can think, act, and lead in environments where conventional strategies fail. You, Lieutenant Kane, have demonstrated the qualities we require. Arya's mind raced. The words were both flattering and unsettling. Special assignments, missions that pushed cadets beyond the limits of standard training, were dangerous and often highly secretive. Accepting such a role could mean leaving everything familiar behind, stepping into a world where the unknown was constant and the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. "What kind of assignments?" she asked cautiously. Celine's expression remained neutral. "Missions beyond the borders of known space, situations where human ingenuity, courage, and moral judgment are critical. You would work with teams, but often lead alone. Decisions you make could determine not only the success of the mission but the survival of entire colonies." Arya considered the offer carefully. She had trained her whole life for challenges like this, yet the reality was daunting. She was not naive. She knew that such assignments were perilous, that few cadets returned unchanged. And yet, the thrill of discovery, the opportunity to protect humanity, and the chance to test her own limits called to her. "I'll need time to think," she said finally. Celine nodded. "Of course. But understand this. The opportunity is rare, and the galaxy does not wait. Your skills, your courage, and your choices are being observed even now. The Directorate values decisiveness. Choose wisely, Lieutenant." Arya left the chamber with her mind spinning. The weight of the decision pressed on her, but beneath the tension was a surge of determination. She had faced a beast on Exo Prime and survived with nothing but her courage and wit. Whatever the Directorate wanted from her, she would approach it with the same resolve. She would not be a pawn. She would ensure that humanity's values, courage, intelligence, and ethics remained central to her actions. Over the following days, Arya continued her training, both physically and mentally. She studied the creature's behavior, analyzing its patterns, strengths, and weaknesses. Each observation strengthened her understanding of strategy, adaptability, and instinct. She reviewed the data meticulously, noting details others might overlook. Preparing herself for whatever assignments the Directorate might propose, she also observed the Academy's environment with renewed attention. The guards outside her door maintained their watch, their silence now a signal of respect and expectation rather than simple authority. Arya realized that the Academy had recognized her not only as a survivor, but as a potential leader. Someone capable of navigating challenges that others could not. Milo remained a constant presence, a reminder of the lives she had saved and the responsibility she carried. They spoke often, sharing theories about the Directorate's experiments and the creatures they engineered. Milo's cautious perspective balanced Arya's determination, reminding her to consider the ethical implications of their actions and the consequences of taking on roles that carried immense responsibility. One evening, while reviewing data from the Exo Prime mission, Arya noticed a pattern in the behavior of the engineered creatures. They exhibited intelligence beyond instinctual responses, adapting to environmental changes and learning from human actions. This suggested that the Directorate's experiments were not merely tests of strength but investigations into the boundaries of human and engineered intelligence. The implications were profound. Humanity had proven itself capable of confronting and overcoming challenges that were designed to be insurmountable. Arya realized that her survival on Exo Prime had become more than an isolated act of bravery. It was proof that human potential, guided by courage, strategy, and ethics, could surpass even advanced technological creations. She felt a growing sense of responsibility, understanding that her choices and actions could shape not only her own path, but the future direction of the Directorate's approach to human advancement. The opportunity to participate in special assignments loomed closer with each passing day. Arya's thoughts often returned to the forest on Exo Prime, to the moment she had faced the beast alone and unarmed. That memory, vivid and intense, reminded her that fear could be transformed into courage, that danger could be met with strategy and resolve. It was a lesson she carried with her, one that would guide her in the challenges to come. Then, one night, she was summoned again. this time to a secure briefing room deep within the academy. Commander Celine awaited her, flanked by several senior officials. The atmosphere was serious, charged with an energy that suggested decisions of great consequence were about to be made. "Lieutenant Kane," Celine said, "the Directorate has reviewed your performance and assessment. Your courage, intelligence, and ethical judgment have distinguished you as a candidate for a new mission type, one that requires initiative, resilience, and leadership. You will not be alone, but the responsibility rests on your shoulders." Arya listened carefully, absorbing every word. She understood the weight of the assignment. The mission would test her limits, challenge her judgment, and place her in situations where the margin for error was minimal. Yet beneath the pressure, a spark of excitement ignited within her. This was the opportunity she had trained for, the chance to demonstrate that human courage and intelligence could prevail against the unknown. "You will receive full briefing on the mission parameters, team composition, and objectives upon your acceptance," Celine continued. "Know this. Your actions will set a precedent for how humanity engages with threats and unknown phenomena beyond known space. The Directorate has confidence in your abilities, Lieutenant Kane. Will you accept this responsibility?" Arya paused, considering the question. Fear and excitement coexisted within her, but her decision crystallized with clarity. She had faced death and survived. She had saved lives and outsmarted a creature designed to challenge human limits. Now, she would take the next step, not as a cadet, but as a representative of humanity's potential. "I accept," she said firmly, her voice steady, carrying both resolve and determination. Celine nodded, a faint smile crossing her features. "Very well. Your training and preparation continue, but soon you will join your team and embark on your first mission. Remember, Lieutenant Kane, courage, intelligence, and ethics are your greatest weapons. Trust yourself, and humanity's potential will guide you through the unknown." As Arya left the briefing room, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The forest of Exo Prime, the creature, and the days of observation and training had all led to this moment. She was no longer just a cadet who had survived. She was a symbol of human potential, ready to face challenges beyond imagination, and determined to prove that courage, intelligence, and ethical action could shape the future of humanity in the galaxy. She returned to her quarters that night, the guards still stationed outside, their silent presence now a reminder of the trust and responsibility placed upon her. Arya's mind raced with possibilities, strategies, and questions, but beneath it all was a steady flame of resolve. The challenges ahead would be great, but she had faced the impossible before, and she would do so again. In the quiet moments before sleep, she reflected on her journey, the creature on Exo Prime, the intense observation, the ethical questions, and the opportunity to take on a mission that could change the course of humanity's engagement with the galaxy. Every step had prepared her for this moment. Arya Kane, who had fought the beast barehanded and survived, now faced a new reality, one filled with unknown dangers, critical decisions, and the chance to demonstrate that human courage, intelligence, and ethics were forces the galaxy could rely upon. And as she closed her eyes, a sense of determination settled within her. She would meet the challenges ahead with skill, bravery, and unwavering resolve, ensuring that humanity's potential shone brightly, even in the darkest reaches of space. The morning air in the academy was cool and crisp, carrying a faint hum from the distant training grounds. Arya Kane rose early, her mind already working through strategies, contingencies, and possible scenarios for the assignment she had accepted. Today marked the first step toward a mission that could define her place in the galaxy. Every moment mattered, and she could feel the weight of responsibility settling firmly on her shoulders. The guards outside her door remained, silent and attentive. Over the past days, Arya had grown accustomed to their presence, interpreting their subtle movements and patterns. They were no longer simply watchers, they were silent indicators of the importance of her actions, a reminder that the Academy and the Directorate trusted her capabilities, while also testing her judgment. She dressed quickly, choosing lightweight tactical gear that allowed freedom of movement without sacrificing protection. Her hands were still slightly bruised from the encounter with the creature on Exo Prime, but her strength had returned. Honed by rigorous training and careful recovery, she packed essential tools, reviewing them mentally, planning for scenarios where quick thinking could make the difference between life and death. A soft chime signaled her transport to the briefing chamber. Arya followed the corridor, every step measured, her senses alert to subtle changes in light, sound, and vibration. The chamber was larger than she had expected, filled with high-tech equipment and multiple displays showing maps of planets, alien terrain, and simulations of potential encounters. Commander Celine Voss waited, her expression neutral, yet expectant. "Lieutenant Kane," Celine said as Arya entered, "your team awaits. They have been selected based on their skills, adaptability, and judgment. You will lead them through situations where quick thinking and courage are paramount. Are you ready to meet them?" Arya nodded, a mixture of excitement and focus settling over her. The doors opened, and a group of cadets entered. Each one displayed a distinct skill set: tactical precision, scientific knowledge, survival expertise, and quick adaptability. Arya studied each member carefully, noting their strengths, weaknesses, and potential roles in the team. She understood that leadership required more than personal courage. It demanded insight into others' abilities, the ability to coordinate, and the skill to anticipate challenges collectively. "Lieutenant Kane will lead this mission," Celine announced. "Your objective is to investigate a newly discovered anomaly on a distant planet. The anomaly has shown signs of life forms with unexpected intelligence and adaptability. You will collect data, ensure team safety, and, if necessary, neutralize threats while adhering to ethical guidelines. Questions will be answered as the mission progresses, but discretion and judgment are critical." Arya absorbed the instructions, her mind already formulating initial strategies. "Understood, ma'am. Team, we will need to work closely, observe carefully, and prioritize safety while accomplishing our objectives. We will adapt to what we encounter, not the other way around." The team nodded, trust forming quietly in the shared purpose. Arya led them to the transport shuttle, reviewing coordinates, checking equipment, and reinforcing safety protocols. The vessel lifted smoothly, engines humming as it departed from the academy. Below, the planet with its dense forests, alien formations, and uncharted terrain loomed larger with every passing second. Upon arrival, the shuttle touched down on rocky, uneven ground at the edge of a vast forest. The landscape was rugged, alien, and beautiful. Strange bioluminescent plants glowed softly, casting surreal shadows across the terrain. The team disembarked cautiously, scanning the area for signs of life and potential hazards. "Stay close," Arya instructed. "Remember, observation comes first. Reaction comes second. Let's move carefully and watch for anything unusual." They advanced slowly, the ground shifting beneath their feet, unusual scents filling the air, and occasional movements in the trees hinting at unseen creatures. Hours passed with careful observation, data collection, and strategic planning. The team's coordination improved steadily, each member learning to trust Arya's decisions while contributing their own insights. As the day progressed, they encountered the first signs of intelligent behavior among the local creatures. Unlike ordinary wildlife, these beings displayed problem-solving skills, adaptability, and signs of coordinated action. They were cautious but curious, observing the cadets from a distance, testing boundaries without attacking. Arya noted these behaviors carefully, recording every movement, gesture, and interaction. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the forest. The team froze. The ground trembled slightly, and the rustling of trees suggested something large was approaching. Arya's instincts kicked in immediately. She motioned for the team to spread out, maintaining visibility while ensuring no one was isolated. From the shadows emerged a creature larger than any they had expected, its movements precise and deliberate. Unlike the predator on Exo Prime, this one exhibited awareness and strategy, approaching with caution, yet assessing potential threats. Arya studied it, recognizing patterns similar to what she had observed in previous experiments. This was not random aggression, it was intelligence, adaptability, and calculation. "Remember," Arya whispered to her team, "we react only when necessary. Observe first. Understand before acting." The creature paused, eyes fixed on Arya, as if recognizing her presence. Slowly, it tested their defenses. Moving closer, evaluating their reactions, Arya maintained calm, using hand signals to coordinate her team. They adjusted positions, reinforced their perimeter, and prepared for any sudden actions. Suddenly, one cadet, inexperienced and eager, stepped forward impulsively. The creature reacted immediately. Charging toward the cadet with astonishing speed, Arya acted without hesitation, rushing forward to intercept, positioning herself between the cadet and the threat. Her training, instincts, and prior experience guided her actions. She deflected the creature's momentum, using its weight against it, and guided it away from her team. The confrontation lasted only moments, yet it tested every skill Arya had developed. She relied on movement, leverage, and strategy rather than brute force, proving once again that human ingenuity and courage could meet extraordinary challenges. The creature paused, assessing her once more, and then retreated slightly. No longer aggressive but watchful, the team exhaled collectively, tension releasing slowly. Milo approached, eyes wide. "Arya, you did it again," he said, admiration and relief mingling in his voice. Arya nodded, wiping sweat from her brow. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. Every encounter teaches us something. Every observation matters. We proceed carefully and smartly." Over the next hours, the team continued to study the creatures and the surrounding environment. Arya guided them in collecting samples, recording behavior, and analyzing patterns. Each interaction reinforced her understanding of the intelligence these beings possessed and the ethical responsibility they carried in handling the situation. She realized that this mission was not merely about survival or combat, it was about understanding, communication, and leadership. As night fell, the forest transformed into a glowing landscape of bioluminescent life. The creatures moved with quiet grace, observing from a distance but remaining non-threatening. Arya set up a secure perimeter for the team's temporary camp, ensuring safety while allowing for continued observation. She sat quietly, reflecting on the day's events, her thoughts on strategy, ethics, and the responsibility they carried. The encounter with the intelligent creature had confirmed what she already suspected. Humanity's potential was not limited to technology or weapons. Courage, intelligence, and ethical decision-making were forces that could shape outcomes, even in unpredictable and dangerous environments. She realized that her leadership was not merely about command, it was about guiding, understanding, and empowering her team to make the best decisions collectively. As the team settled for the night, Arya remained vigilant, her senses attuned to every sound and movement. The forest, alive with unknown energies, tested her focus, resilience, and judgment. She understood that the mission's challenges would grow more complex, requiring her to balance strategy, courage, and ethical consideration at every turn. In the quiet hours before dawn, Arya reflected on her journey from facing a beast barehanded on Exo Prime to now leading a team in uncharted territory, navigating unknown creatures with intelligence and adaptability. She recognized that humanity's potential was limitless when guided by courage, ingenuity, and ethical judgment. Each choice, each action, shaped not only survival but the example humanity set for the galaxy. Morning arrived with a soft glow, illuminating the forest in muted golds and purples. Arya prepared her team for the day's next phase, her instructions precise, her tone calm and confident. The creatures they had encountered moved through the forest, observing and learning, just as the cadets did. Arya led by example, demonstrating that intelligence, courage, and ethical leadership were the keys to understanding and navigating the unknown. Throughout the following days, the team faced numerous challenges. Unpredictable terrain, complex behaviors from intelligent creatures, and unforeseen obstacles that tested their adaptability. Each encounter reinforced Arya's belief that human potential was defined not by raw power alone, but by the combination of courage, strategic thinking, and ethical action. By the mission's end, the team had collected valuable data, observed remarkable behaviors in the creatures, and strengthened their cohesion and skills. Arya's leadership had been pivotal, guiding her team through uncertainty and danger, while ensuring ethical treatment of the intelligent species they studied. Returning to the academy, the shuttle descended smoothly, the team exhausted but exhilarated. Commander Selene awaited them, her expression inscrutable as she reviewed their reports. Arya stepped forward, presenting the data, observations, and analysis with clarity and precision. Selene's eyes narrowed slightly as she absorbed the information, then softened in recognition of Arya's skill. "Lieutenant Kane," Selene said finally, "you have demonstrated not only courage and intelligence, but the ability to lead, adapt, and make ethical decisions under extreme circumstances. You have proven that human potential is limitless when guided by ingenuity and principle. The Directorate will take your performance into account for future assignments, and your example will set the standard for cadets across the academy." Arya nodded, a quiet pride filling her chest. She had faced the impossible, protected her team, and upheld her principles, proving that humanity's courage and intelligence were forces the galaxy could rely upon. As she walked through the academy halls, the guards stationed outside her door watched with quiet respect. Arya understood now that she was no longer simply a cadet. She was a symbol of human potential, courage, and ethical strength, a testament to what could be achieved when humans face the unknown, with intelligence, determination, and integrity. And as she looked toward the horizon, Arya Kane knew that, whatever challenges awaited beyond the stars, humanity would meet them. With courage, ingenuity, and ethics as their guide, there was no obstacle too great, no unknown too terrifying, and no mission impossible. She had fought the beast barehanded, survived, and now led her team through the unknown. Humanity had triumphed, not through weapons or technology alone, but through the enduring power of its mind, spirit, and heart.